Doctors, do you have an abundant or a scarcity thinking mindset? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by Cats Consultants and Chiro Health USA. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Michael Perusich, and this is Dr. Troy Fox. Troy, are you abundant, or are you an abundant thinker or a scarcity thinker? I know the answer, but
Oh, I'm very abundant. I thought you were talking about my weight when we first started. I'm like, well, I did have a few extra snacks during Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's this year. But yeah, I'm definitely an abundant thinker. I'm also the guy as we get into this that says if you don't think it, it can't happen. So if you have, what do they always say about stinking thinking, right?
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah. Stinking thinking sucks if you think that you can't do it. So I'm also a big manifestation guy that says if you don't talk about it and you don't tell yourself and you don't have positive thoughts about it, it can't happen. So there you go.
Exactly.
There's my 2 cents. Thanks for everybody coming today. That's all you really need to know.
That's all you need. Yeah. I'm going to add one thing to that. Quit putting T's on the end of words like I can't,
Yeah.
I won't, won't. I hear this all the time. This drives me nuts. I hear doctors cubbyhole themselves into this, we'll call it stinking thinking, into the scarcity mindset where everything's an expense. I can never see more than 25 people a day. I can only get 2 people to utilize my laser every week.
Mhm.
It's all these T's. It's I can't, I won't, it won't happen. It can't happen. That can't happen in my area. That won't work in my area. You and I were talking about that just a little while ago.
Mhm.
And that is scarcity thinking. And we've got to start thinking abundantly because you're right. If we don't think it, what you think about comes about.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said that, but it's a very famous line. What you think about comes about. Dr. Katz always used to say this. What you think about comes about. And we've got to think about success. And success is born out of what? It's born out of having an abundant mindset. You
Mhm.
have to think there's always room for another patient. There's always room for another profit center as long as we utilize it correctly and price it correctly. There's always time for something. And I was talking to a client the other day, actually not a client, somebody who called about becoming a client. And I said, "What's your number one problem?" "I don't have enough time in the day." Okay, that sounds like an organizational issue, but what do you mean? Well, my gosh, I see 30 patients a day, and I'm thinking to myself, that wouldn't have even been a good morning for Troy and I,
Mhm.
let alone an entire day. And I'm
Correct.
thinking, where does all your time go? And so we get this stuff in our mind that really blocks our ability to succeed, and we have to get past that and get into this abundant mindset. And I want to unpack this a little bit more. We need to hear a quick word from our sponsors. So hang in there, everybody. We're talking about the abundant mindset versus the scarcity mindset. We'll be right back.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them. But when it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where Chiro Health USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At Chiro Health USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join Chiro Health USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put your patients first, everyone wins.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We are talking about the abundant mindset versus the scarcity mindset. Troy, before the break, I was talking about how some doctors see everything as an expense. And that's all they think about is how much am I spending? How much is going out the door? How much did this cost? How much does that cost? And I watch them nickel and dime themselves into a lack of profitability because that's all they're thinking about.
Right. It's kind of the really the comparison between look at an old mom and pop shop versus a lot of times what we see as a franchise look, right? What is
Right.
a franchise look? It's always clean, it's crisp, the graphics are nice, everything looks good, it's shiny in a box, right?
Right.
And that's a franchise look. The mom and pop look, a lot of times cut corners. Maybe their countertop is made out of plywood. Maybe the chairs in their front room are not very nice, but it didn't cost them any more, and they were able to just nickel. But what they didn't realize is people walked through the door, didn't feel welcome, didn't feel. It's like, oh, what in the world? What have I gotten myself into?
Right.
This, as my son would say, this looks a little sketch. And when that happens, people don't come back. And they
Right.
may like you as a doctor, but they get invited by a friend of theirs to come down to another office that they believe does exactly what you do, right? And
Yep.
they walk in the front door and it's my office. They walk in the front door. There's a brand new coffee maker. There's a welcome center. There's waters. There's a full length couch. There's a TV with a fireplace below it. It welcomes you from the moment you walk in the door. I'm
Yep.
waving you in with what I got. And then I got essential oils going in the background and I got some soothing music going. And all of a sudden, this person goes, oh my gosh, I could sit here for hours. Which
Yeah.
office do they want to go to? Especially when they come back and they go, you know what? You're a pretty darn good chiropractor. I hear that every once in a while. Not
Yeah.
all the time. I'm not everybody's bag, right? But if you're a darn good chiropractor, and I believe that most of you are, if you have that kind of experience, where do I want to go as a chiropractic
Yeah.
patient?
Exactly.
So when you look at that and you start cutting corners on everything, you notice some of the things that I said didn't cost much. A coffee pod doesn't cost me much.
Right.
And I have a young lady that comes into my practice once a month to get adjusted. She needs to be in there about every couple of weeks, but financially, she says, I can only come in once a month, as evidenced by the fact that every time she comes in, she grabs 2 coffee pods and puts them in her purse. Then comes back and gets adjusted.
I
So
love it.
she obviously needs a couple coffee pods and an adjustment. But the girls told me, you do realize that so and so is taking 2 coffee pods every time they come in. She doesn't get a coffee, she takes them home. And I'm like, good for her. She's
Yeah.
figured the system, right?
Sure.
So,
Why
so
not? She
that's
shouldn't have to bring them here.
no, that's a small thing. Essential oils are a small thing. Music is a small thing. You can do a paid or unpaid subscription. So there's several small things and a couple of big things that I threw in there. So when we talk about, well, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. I think in a lot of cases, guys and gals, because you can't do what it shows on this website that you looked at with this big fancy, I see fancy chiropractic offices all the time that come down, hey, we'll rebuild your office and make it look like this. And you
Right.
know, and it's only $15,000 down. Oh my gosh, what's it cost me to actually get it done, right? So I'm like, you know what? Sometimes we just get paralyzed and sometimes we just get stuck in our stinking thinking that, you know what I got's fine.
Yeah.
People are still coming in here, right? So I think
Right.
we get stuck a little bit in that. We don't realize what we're leaving on the table when we have the old look because you're losing patients that I would call are quiet quitting you to
Yep.
go to the Starbucks looking office.
Yeah.
Now
Exactly.
they don't have the best coffee at that office. They have crappy coffee.
Right.
And sorry, Starbucks, but the truth of the matter is your coffee tastes burnt. So it's my
Sometimes.
opinion. But so here's the thing. I may not be a big fan of Starbucks coffee. I like the coffee I make at home that doesn't taste like it's been heated too much. Or the one in my office. I got a really cool coffee maker in my office. So my thing about that is when you go and you go get the coffee, I don't have the best coffee, but I have the best ambiance. And so people are going to come to me. Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee, but they have some pretty cool ambiance. I mean, where did you ever go before Starbucks arrived that you could go in and just kick back in a lounge chair and pull out your phone or your laptop and work from right there with their free Wi-Fi? So all of a sudden they got me, but they don't have the best product. So we're on to something there.
And caveat to Starbucks, that is just our opinion.
100%.
that's not been lab tested or anything. Anyway, um, yeah, and what you're talking about is the abundant mindset. I'm going to do things to my office to make us look better, to help with that attraction component of patient acquisition and retention, um, which all goes back to the experience. What experience are you giving people? Are you giving people an abundant experience, or are you giving them a scarcity experience? Is your office minimalistic? And if you do it right, that may be great. There may be plenty of people out there that want a minimalistic environment, but are you trying to attract those that don't? So, you've really got to match up with not only your community, but we've got to get out of the scarcity mindset. And I think we have this in the entire profession in
Mhm.
some ways. And we see it with this race to the bottom on pricing. For $9, you guys have heard me say this a million times. For $9, you can get a consultation and an adjustment, a set of x-rays, an exam, a posture evaluation. You can get a, a, a gait scan. You can get an hour of rehab. You can get a full 1 hour massage and 2 therapies and an adjustment for $9. That's a
Mhm.
scarcity mindset. Your value is so much more than that. Now, if you need a burst of new patients once in a while, I guess it's okay to do some of that. But I I just see this small-minded, scarcity-minded race to the bottom so much in the profession, and we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. We've got to have this abundant mindset. So we got to take another quick break. We'll come back and um, I want to talk a little bit about how we pigeonhole ourselves into thinking too much about what things cost. So we'll be right back. All right, Dr. Troy, we are back. We are live and wired and thinking abundantly today. So we've been talking a lot about abundant mindset versus the scarcity mindset. I started this topic off at the very beginning with the idea that I see a lot of doctors thinking so much about their expense side of the ledger in their
Mhm.
business that they forget how to build profitability into the practice. And we see this all the time. We drive consulting and coaching by statistics. And when I look at doctor statistics, we so oftentimes see that every patient walking in the door, you might as well hand them a $10 bill because that's what you're losing or more every
Mhm.
time they walk in the door. And it's because we're not focused on the profit side of the practice. We're focused on the expense side of the practice. And that's, in my opinion, that's a scarcity mindset because it's holding you back. What are expenses? They're the weight of a business, any business. Are you going to look at it so much that it just buries you, that it just holds you down, holds you underwater? Or are we going to just know it's there and look at the abundant side of the practice, the profit side of the practice, and really try to grow it? What you think about comes about.
1,000% on that one. And the thing is, if we don't know what our services cost us, it's very easy to get in a downward spiral. And then all of a sudden we start comparing our prices to whoever else is in our area. And if
Yep.
someone else has a poverty complex, you're in a chess match to the bottom, because what happens is you go down, then they go, well, I need a group of new patients and we're at the same price as office B down the street. So we're going to drop our price again, and that's how we end up in the race to the bottom down to $9. And then eventually somebody zeroes it out.
Yep.
They go down to zero cost for
Yep.
everything the first day,
It's
which,
free.
which to me, when I look at that, not only does that create a really bad look for you, it's not an abundance mindset. It's a huge scarcity mindset, and it's a zero value mindset. But the other thing that it does to your patients is it creates a situation where they realize that you don't have an abundance mindset. You're completely devalued down to the point where you're like, my stuff isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
If it was, I wouldn't charge $0 for day one. And
Yeah.
if I do, and if I do somehow think that maybe you do have a value to services, I think you're bait and switching me now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really not where you want to be.
It's not where
Uh,
you want to be. And so we see a lot of burnout in the profession, and invariably that's almost always where it comes from. That
mhm,
doctor first started thinking with a scarcity mindset, started thinking about expenses, didn't think about profitability, watched the chiropractor to the west lower their prices. So they had to catch up and lower theirs too. And pretty soon they'll burn out. And then we hear, well, you can't make it in chiropractic anymore. Folks, I'm here to tell you that I don't think there's ever, and I'm not going to tell you how long I've been around, but I've been around a while. There hasn't ever been a time that's better for chiropractic than right now. And the good news is we don't have to depend on insurance reimbursement anymore either.
mhm.
You have value. Start thinking abundantly. You always have room for one more patient. You can always grow your practice. I can walk into any practice and I can grow your revenue in a week. Just let me see your numbers and let me see what you're doing. And I promise you, I can grow any practice in a week.
It's amazing how I've walked into 4 different practices and made every one of them profitable in a very short period of time. And this last
Yep.
one I walked into had a decent revenue stream when I came in, and I bumped that revenue stream.
Yep.
What did I bump? But I bumped it by about 50% over the first year and a half. So
Yeah.
a 50% increase. So you guys do the math. If you're a 50% increase on 200,000, where are you at?
300,000.
Gee, that and it wasn't hard to get there. So
Yeah. It's not.
if we take 100,000 and we break that divided by 12, okay, what is that? 8,000 a month or 8,000? Yeah, 8,000 a month, right?
Mhm.
What is that per week? Hey, you're a math guy. You're a finance guy. How much is that per week?
It's 2,000 per week.
2 grand. What is that divided by 5? What is that a day?
$400 a day.
$400 a day, which is the equivalent of my average charge is over 40, but let's say my average charge was 40.
10
It's 5
patients.
patients. Yeah, let's call it 10. Let's call it 10 if you want to, so 4 times 5 is 200. You do the math on that. So all of a sudden, I just took what seemed insurmountable and I added 50% to that practice overnight. And I did it by adding 5 to 10 patients a day.
Yeah.
5 to 10 a day. That's all I did. Really simple to do that. So if you have your ducks in a row and you have your math in order, guess what? If you dream it and you believe it, it'll happen. So
Yep.
if you walk in and go, I'm going to see 5 more patients a day, and here's how I'm going to
You
do
will
it.
do it.
You need a roadmap. You need to
You'll
be,
do it. Yeah.
you have to be disciplined when you
I'm
do
not
it. But
I I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but a lot of you have heard my story about how we went from 44 patients to past 88 patients, how we doubled the practice, more than doubled in a
yeah.
very short period of time, in 3.5 months.
Hmm.
In a nutshell, I walked in one day, I was sick and tired of being stuck at 44, and I told my staff, "I want us to double that." And they looked at me like I lost my head.
Hmm.
But we sat down at lunch that day and put together a plan of how incrementally we were going to grow each day and each week. And 3.5 months later, Marissa came by and said, "Hey, I don't think we're going to make the 88." And I said, "Oh, you got to be kidding me. We worked so hard." And she said,
Hmm.
"We blew past it earlier in the week. We're at 108."
Yeah.
That's per day, folks. 108 per day. And we stayed there. So you can grow your practice. And here, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of math lesson here. Get out a pencil and paper unless you're driving. Don't get out a pencil and paper
Yeah.
if you're driving. Okay. Keep your eyes on the road. Write this
That's
down.
right.
407 308 5590. Now, don't add all those up. That's our phone number. If you are serious about growing your practice, give us a call. Let's chat about it. Let's find out if you've really got the moxie to grow your practice. If you do, CATS Consultants might be able to help you and help you in some big, big ways. So give us a call or go check us out at catsconsultants.com. It's cats with a K. Everybody knows that. We've been around a long time. So, um, It's 2026. Let's get off our duffs and let's make something of our business and get rid of the burnout, get rid of the poor profitability or negative profitability maybe. Let's get that abundant mindset going in this beautiful year that it's going to be.
It's going to be, and I think that's a fantastic plan right at the beginning of the year. Rock and roll, get loaded from the beginning and know where you need to go, but do it, break it down so you know where you're going. Give us a call with anything you may need because we do have a trick or two up our sleeves. We have been somewhat successful at this multiple times over. And I think once you do it 2, 3, 4 times or do the doubling thing, I mean, all the different things that you and I have done, I think that we have a little bit of knowledge of how to get there. It's a really simple roadmap. It's kind of like any other profession. There are masters of the profession and there are those that are trying to get there. And when you listen to somebody that's gotten there before, they make it sound so easy. It's like, it can't be that easy. Yeah, it can.
And let me tell you guys something. We're not just another consulting or coaching company out there. We're not going to come in and tell you and change your practice and tell you to do it our way. That's not how we work. We work to find the points that you need help with so that you can have the practice of your dreams, not of our dreams, of your dreams. So we help you with all kinds of things, whether it's getting your pricing, your fee structure put together correctly, helping you with retention, profitability, you name it, we'll come in and help you fix it. So give us a call.
Unless you're an activator practice, in which case I'm going to try to switch you to diversified. Best technique ever. Now, I say that jokingly, activator guys, because you do know Dr. Perusich was an activator practice. Now,
Yep.
very, very lovingly. Now, we want to help you where you're at. We don't want to change you at all. We just want to change a few things you're doing, clean it up, and super fuel you so you can jam into 26 with bigger numbers.
Love it. All right, everybody. I think we're going to jump out of here. On behalf of all of us at CATS Consultants, and we thank Chiro Health USA for being our sponsor as well. From all of us here, get profitable. It's time. We'll see you next time.
He's pointing his finger at you. Get it, boys and girls.